Now, I know it's hard to believe, but this wall right behind me 1 week ago looks completely different. And we're gonna get into exactly what I did to bring not only this wall to life, but our entire home to life. Give it personality, character, and really just this timeless and elegant feel. So let's get into exactly what I did. Now, like I mentioned already, this wall had absolutely nothing on it. It was so plain, it was a different color. It also had this very old doorbell apparatus that we don't even use, and really it was just time to completely transform this wall. So the inspiration here was really a timeless and elegant feel. I wanted to do wainscoting. I love wainscoting. I think it just adds a lot of personality and character. So I definitely knew that I wanted to do that, and we'll get into that in a second. And we also, it was time for us to hang some of our photos. We just got married. We had no photos of us anywhere. We have so many photos after a wedding, after an engagement shoot, after a wedding welcome party, and it was time to really give those a place in the home. And so what better place than this area where I was already planning for some sort of a transformation to occur. And then we finished everything off with additional lighting. So let's first get started with the wainscoting. Now, I knew that I wanted this wall to be white. I knew that I wanted it to be set apart from the rest of the home. We don't have a ton of white walls in the rest of the home. We're adding some, but I knew that I wanted this wall to be white. And then I knew that in order for these photos to really stand out, we needed a white wall. So that was number one. The other thing that I knew I wanted to add was wainscoting. Now, what the wainscoting is going to be all of the wood trim that goes all around the photos. Now, I knew that I also wanted the wainscoting to have some height to it. We already have a ton of high ceilings, but when you're using wainscoting, it really accentuates the ceilings, it accentuates the wall, it accentuates the height, and I knew that I wanted to really bring that to life, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. Now, I will say I did not do this myself. I hired a contractor, and he's the one who actually did this, but this was the vision, this is what I drew out, and this is really what I put together. We also went with some shorter wainscoting at the bottom to just give the wall additional height and dimension. Now, in terms of the paint, we went with just a classic Sherwin-Williams pure white with a satin finish. I think that turned out really, really nicely, especially against all of the black trim of all of the photos. I also love how the spacing between each frame just really feels very balanced and intentional. And that's why we went with the larger, taller wainscoting to make sure that everything just felt very proportional and balanced. Now, for the frames, I wanted to go dark since we were doing a white background, and I found these frames on Amazon. I will have everything linked for you, but these are this is a 24 by 24 frame with a matte black finish. What I did was I actually went onto Amazon and I purchased 3 different types of frames because I knew the frame that I was looking for. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't order. I needed 9 of these, so I wanted to make sure that I didn't order, a bunch of the wrong frames and then have to return it. So what I did was I kind of went through a few different frames, picked the ones that I wanted, and then I ordered those. So like I said, these are 24 by 24 with so the actual picture though is a 20 by 20. So the pictures themselves are 20 inches by 20 inches, but the frames are 24 by 24. And I feel like it just came out so perfectly. I just got all of the pictures printed at Staples. It was super easy. It was also important to do larger pictures because the wall is so large. They do have some of the frames where you have more white space and then the picture is a bit smaller. And while we could have done that, I really like the way that these came out because the pictures themselves are so interesting. We got a lot of our pictures, all of these pictures actually were taken in New Orleans at different times, our wedding, when we went for, our engagement shoot and things like that. And just capturing the beauty and the essence and the overall culture, architecture of New Orleans, you needed a larger picture in order to do that. And then you have our wedding photo. And I feel like the whole wall just really kind of came together once we saw all of the pictures kind of collaged together. Now let's get into these picture lights because first of all, these picture lights at night completely change the vibe in here. It feels like an art gallery. Lighting is such a subtle touch, but it adds so much warmth and makes the wall the star of the room. We went with 3 lights at the top of each section. They're battery operated, so all we have to do is take them off. As a remote, it has 3 different settings, and it just gives it such a nice feel in here. I wanted to create that conversation piece, that wow factor when people walk into your home and it's that first thing that kind of catches them, and it's the conversation that you kind of continue to have throughout the time that someone is at your home. For some people, it is the artwork. For others, it may be a piece of furniture that they got from a secondhand source. And for us to create this wall of memories, that's what we did here. That's what we were able to achieve. And also to do it in a way that felt very modern and timeless. It goes with the rest of the home and all the other areas that we're also still curating, but modern, but yet still some character and timelessness to it. Now, I already mentioned that I partnered with a contractor for the execution of this wall, but I really want to talk about what all I did before contacting the contractor to get all of my ideas out and make sure that this was exactly what I wanted before I partnered with the contractor. So the first thing that I did was I went for inspiration. I just started looking around. I think I found these photos before, the photos of the wall and what I wanted to do before I knew which wall it was going to be. And so I knew exactly what I was going for, but then you get into the details, right? What color lights do you want? What kind of photos do you want? What kind of frames do you want? How do you want everything to be laid out? How many photos do you want? All of that changes. What type of wainscoting do you want? Do you want, kind of what we have, which are very tall wood frames, or do you want small boxes, kind of going around, small box paneling going around each of the photos? That's when you really get into the details. And so what I did was I actually sketched it out, and I had my inspiration photos through Pinterest, through TikTok, through all of these different places. I would just be online, and every time I would find something that I would like, I would just kind of add that to a note that I had. And so between sketches and between the inspiration photos, I was really able to get down to the details. And I will say, whether you are working with a contractor or not, you want to make sure that your final sketch or your final look is down to every detail, so that there's no miscommunication and you can actually see and visualize how everything is actually going to look, which makes a smoother process for not only you, but if you have a contractor that you're working with, for your contractor as well. So I want to know, would you curate something like this in your home? There's so many different ways that you can bring something that is already in your home to life a little bit more. Maybe it's a wall, maybe it's an area that you have that you actually said, you know what, I can actually do something with this area and turn it into something that looks completely different than what it is today. You can do things like molding. You can do accent walls. You can do wainscoting. Your wainscoting doesn't have to be the same color as the wall like what we've done here. You can do different color than what you actually paint the actual wall. There's so many things that you can do. So I'm curious, what is that one space or that one area within your home or your space, whatever it is, wherever it is, that you said, you know what, I've been wanting to do this, I just haven't done it yet. What is it? Is it a new piece of furniture that you think you want to buy? Is it new accent walls? Is it adding pictures? What is it? Tell me in the comments. I'm interested. And also let me know what you think of our wall.